All right, let's just jump right in. We all think of our homes as these safe places, our personal fortresses. But what if I told you there's a constant, invisible war happening right inside your walls, right under your feet? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden forces that are silently attacking your home's most essential systems.
So, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the biggest threat to your home? What's the first thing that pops into your head? A big storm? A fire? Something obvious that you can see coming?
Well, it's probably not what you're thinking. See, the most damaging threats, they aren't always the big, dramatic ones we see on TV. They're usually a lot quieter, a whole lot slower.
It's this slow, silent attack, one that's happening day in and day out, and you might not even have a clue. Until, boom, it's way too late.
And the real culprit? It's the world just outside your walls, your local environment itself. And to really understand this hidden battle, we're going to dive into a really fascinating case study from one of the most extreme climates you can find, the Arizona desert.
So our investigation is taking us to Deer Valley, Arizona. This place is kind of the perfect storm, literally, for plumbing challenges. Here in the desert, the battle between a home and its environment becomes incredibly clear. First off, let's talk about the heat. And I'm not talking about just a nice, warm summer day. We're talking about relentless, brutal temperatures soaring past 110 degrees. This kind of extreme heat literally puts physical stress on your water lines and all the little connections to your fixtures, just weakening them day after day.
Okay, next up is this invisible enemy that's actually in the water, hard water. The best way to think about it is like plaque building up in your home's arteries. The local water is packed with minerals like calcium and magnesium, and over time, they leave behind these deposits that just slowly but surely choke the life out of your plumbing from the inside.
And that buildup, it leads to some very real, very expensive problems. This is not just a cosmetic thing. That scale clogs up your pipes, which totally tanks your water pressure. It eats away at the delicate parts inside your valves and fixtures, causing those annoying drips and leaks. It even builds up a layer on the bottom of your water heater, forcing it to work way harder until it just gives up. It'll even wreck your dishwasher and washing machine. So the main takeaway here? This isn't just a minor issue, it's a full-on, system-wide destructive force.
And the assault doesn't even stop there. Outside your home, the landscape itself is basically working against you. You've got desert trees like mesquite and palo verde, and they send their roots deep, deep down in this relentless search for water. And guess what's a perfect, reliable source of water? Yep, your sewer lines. These roots can sneak into the tiniest little crack and create massive blockages that, well, let's just say they lead to backups you do not want to experience.
Now, this is where the age of a home really matters. See, older homes were often built with clay or galvanized pipes. The desert soil is alkaline, which just eats away at clay. And galvanized pipes? They're basically magnets for corrosion in that scale buildup we were talking about. But modern materials like PEX and copper, on the other hand, are built to be way more resistant to these specific kinds of attacks. It's truly a classic story of old tech versus new.
But it's not just nature causing all these issues. The man-made stuff plays a huge part too. Let's take a look at how the history of a neighborhood, how it was built, is creating the exact problems people are dealing with right now.
This timeline really tells the whole story. If your home was built back in the 70s or 80s, the pipes it was built with are simply at the end of their lifespan. Then you have the building boom of the 90s and 2000s. Now those homes might seem pretty modern, but think about it. Their original water heaters, their original pressure regulators, they're all pushing 20, 30 years old. They're starting to fail, all while getting battered by that harsh desert environment we just covered.
And here's another invisible force for you: water pressure. In a lot of these neighborhoods, the water coming from the city is pumped in at over 80 psi. That is way too high for your home's plumbing. So if you don't have a working pressure regulator, that intense force is just slamming into your faucets, your toilets, your washing machine 24/7. It's constant wear and tear that just leads to things breaking down way before their time.
Okay, so you're facing this multi-front war, right? What in the world does an effective counterattack actually look like? Well, it's not just about slapping a patch on a leak. It's about understanding the entire battleground. So let's break down the anatomy of a real solution.
A truly professional response always follows a logical path. It doesn't start with a wrench. It starts with listening, with understanding the problem. Then comes the most important step: diagnosis. You have to find the root cause. Is it just a worn-out washer in the faucet, or is it that crazy high water pressure that destroyed the washer? See the difference? Only after that clear diagnosis and an upfront flat-rate price should the work ever begin. And finally, you repair it and you test it. It's a simple, transparent process that avoids all the guesswork.
So the bottom line is that a solution that's actually going to last has all these key ingredients. It needs deep local knowledge, knowing which neighborhoods have those old problematic pipes. It needs to follow the local codes and get the right permits, which protects you and your home's value. And it has to focus on fixing the cause, not just the symptom, using quality parts that are actually designed to handle that harsh environment.
But look, all this expertise and knowledge, it doesn't mean a thing if the experience for you, the homeowner, is confusing or stressful. And that's exactly why transparency is just totally non-negotiable.
And here's what that transparency actually looks like in the real world. A promise of upfront pricing becomes the reality of zero surprise charges. You approve the total cost before any work starts, period. A promise of clear communication means the problem gets explained in plain English, not a bunch of confusing jargon. And professional work, that means your home gets treated with respect. They use floor protection and they clean up completely when they're done. It's all about turning those promises into a tangible, stress-free reality for you. So, we've journeyed through the hidden battlegrounds of Deer Valley, Arizona. But here's the key. The principles we've uncovered here, they apply absolutely everywhere. Every single home has an invisible story being written on it by its local environment.
And this brings us right to the final, most crucial question. What about your home? Do you live with that salty coastal air? Do you have brutal freeze-thaw cycles in the winter? Maybe you've got acidic soil. What unique, invisible story is your environment writing on your home's pipes, foundation, and fixtures right this very second?
Because at the end of the day, every home has these hidden battlegrounds. The slow drips, the creeping roots, the pressure you can't even see. They're all there. But the good news is, after today, you now know the first and most powerful step you can take in winning that battle is simply knowing where to look.